Great, I gotta make sure the whole community knows about this deck. Hi, I'm Warren with Crackerjack Games. If you like cool cards and hot deck techs, be sure to like and subscribe. Meet Rograkh, son of Rograkh. It's a 0 mana, first strike, trample menace, and it's a 0/1. Now that is too impressive with no power, but it does have partner. His partner in crime, Thrasios, Triton Hero. The ultimate infinite mana dump lets you draw your whole deck and put all your lands on the battlefield. Together, these are forming a top 3 cEDH deck, and since January, I've been having tons of success with it. The deck's changed a ton since I first picked it up, but let's talk about where we're at right now with it, see what powerful cards we're playing, and always be thankful that cEDH is so proxy friendly. So first and foremost, this is the premier Gaea's Cradle deck in the format. We're running 25 creatures, we have ways to make tokens, and we have tons of ways to find this card. It's so good, in fact, that we were playing Growing Rights of Itlimoc as well, so we can have Itlimoc Cradle of the Sun, essentially the same card. Our goal, untap this thing and tap it for as much mana as humanly possible, and win the game. We've got some great ways to untap it, including Manamos, School at Water's Edge, and we have Deserted Temple as well, that just untaps target land. What's going to be really exciting is in Edge of Eternities, I get to upgrade this to some sort of galaxy-looking thing. The other key land in the deck, when I talk about the infinite mana combo, is Talon Gates of Madara. You can just put this into play for 4 mana from your hand. That's nuts. Super relevant for stopping things or shutting off like a Voice of Victory or Grand Abolisher. Now with Gaea's Cradle, Talon Gates of Madara, and this little 50-cent common, a Boro Breeze Caller, as long as we have 6 creatures on the board, which we will, you can pay 2 and return a land you control to your hand and untap target land. You can pay 2, pick up Talon Gates of Madara, untap Gaea's Cradle. Then we can pay 4, put Talon Gates back into play, we have access to a 7th mana, and we get to repeat the loop to make infinite colorless mana. Once you have infinite colorless mana, you can filter mana through Talon Gates Madara to make infinite of all your colors. It's a beautiful thing. Now, since we're going to make a ton of land drops, the card I've been loving in the deck for the last little bit is Springheart Nantuko. It's a 2 mana 1/1, which isn't that impressive, but it does have Bestow, which means you can enchant a creature you control. It also has Landfall, Make an Insect, which adds to our Gaea's Cradle count. Now, if we bestow this on one of our creatures, we also get the option to pay 1 and a green to make a copy of that creature with all of our landfall triggers. This is where the card gets nuts. In the last couple tournaments alone, I've made copies of Cloud of Fairies, made copies of Fairy Mastermind, Spellseeker, heck, even Dryad Arbor. And what's really cool with making copies of Dryad Arbor is every time you make a copy of Dryad Arbor, you get another landfall trigger, which means you get to put a ton of copies of Dryad Arbor into play, as long as you've got mana to make and pay the 1 and a green. Now, obviously, this deck plays crop rotation. You have to find Gaea's Cradle, or, you know, the other piece that we need. I also play what we're referring to in my play group as Bambi. And during Vitality turns all of our creatures into mana dorks. I mentioned earlier that you definitely need to proxy cards in this deck. We're playing Candelabra of Tawnos. The coolest thing about this card is that it's a mono artifact, which they didn't know back in the day meant you should tap it. I mean, they knew that that's what it meant, but now we just have a tap symbol. So X tap, untap, X separate lands. You do target them, even though that's not what the card says. So this is a great thing to blink, pick up, replay, you name it, and just get tons of mana out of Cradle. We play Expedition Map in this house. We're definitely going to find Gaea's Cradle as soon as we can. We also get to just lean into Bloomburrow creatures with Valley Floodcaller, the Man, the Myth, the Otter, and Mockingbird, one of the coolest clones that turns our things into a bird. With birds and otters on the battlefield and Retraction Helix, you've got a way to make infinite mana with like a Mox Amber or a Chrome Mox or a Soul Ring, you name it. There's a great way to replay and make those creatures way bigger and make infinite mana. The deck, of course, plays creature tutors. We've got Nature's Rhythm, which is awesome because you get to use it once and then use it from the graveyard again. Finale of Devastation is a very typical win con in the deck, but even just Finale for 1 to go get a dork is never a bad thing. Playing Flare of Denial, because we've got a bunch of blue creatures that we can sacrifice. And speaking of sacrifice, we're playing Louis Sui's Sacrifice. Now, I have stopped a Thassa's Oracle trigger with it, I've also hard cast it as negate, which I mean isn't great, but when you got it, you got it. I've also had to protect my Gaea's Cradle from a Boseiju, so that was pretty necessary. It cost me a blue and a Rograkh to do it. This version of the deck, as we keep refining the list, is leaning more and more into making Thrasios a more of a threat. So we're playing Training Grounds and Biomancer's Familiar. We also play Earthcraft in this deck. Again, it's a good thing cEDH is proxy friendly. We're playing a forest and we're playing an island because all of our creatures now can untap them with Earthcraft. Now you might be thinking, but Warren, your deck has red in it as well. What red cards are you playing? Well, let me tell you, I've got 4 of them total. The first one is Rograkh, which costs 0 mana. We also have Flare of Duplication, which works best when you have Rograkh on the battlefield, so you can pay 0 mana. We're also playing Deflecting Swat, which should cost 0 mana. And finally, we're playing Gut Shot, because, yeah, you noticed that Phyrexian symbol. This just costs us 2 life. And let's be honest here, we have to be able to take out an Orcish Bowmaster before we can draw our whole deck. That's the whole spread of red cards in the deck right now. And when you check out my Mox field and look at the mana base, you'll see I've got a Volcanic Island, and I've got Talongates of Madara, which can filter mana into red, but that's about it. Now, notably, sometimes you have to cast Gut Shot infinitely many times. Now, sometimes you have to win with Gut Shot, which means you need Displacer Kitten and Eternal Witness to pick it up over and over again. So I guess it's really good that we can make infinite mana and filter it into infinite red mana with Talongates of Madara. Obviously, in a Thrasios deck, we're playing Seedborn Muse. You can never get tired of untapping and having our untap step. A couple of tech cards I've been including lately include Gilded Drake and Druid of Purification. These cards you can get with Court of Calling at instant speed, which is really nice. Gilded Drake lets you take away someone's commander that they maybe need to win, like a Magda or an Oswald. Or a couple weeks ago, I took away someone's Yuriko and then got to use Yuriko 3 times. That was pretty cool. Druid of Purification is going to take out all the Rhystic Studies on the board or the other important enchantments and artifacts. When you take this deck into a tournament, you need Green Sun Zenith and you need Fairy Mastermind. And the reason I actually had to go through in the last tournament I played. The game went to time. I was the last active turn. And so I had Valley Floodcaller out. I had infinite mana. I drew my whole deck. I couldn't win with combat because one of my opponents had the One Ring and had protection from everything. So what I had to do is make everyone draw their entire deck to loot. Before I started doing that, I cast Veil of Summer so people couldn't counter my stuff. I was always able to cast Green Sun Zenith for 0, put it back into my deck and redraw it. Opponents drew all their cards and lost the game. And then I let out a big sigh of relief because obviously that's a stressful way to have to win the game at the end of the round. So if you haven't checked out these 2 baddies yet, make sure to give my list a look in my Mox field. And heck, even proxy it up and give it a try the next time you go out to play cEDH. Hope this helps.